Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. And what a day it is. It's Thursday. Thursday's the day we round up our entire week. Thank you, Tim Cast, for the raid. Mug Club in the house. Bongino Army. Wherever you're watching us, X, YouTube, wherever it is, you are welcome on our Thursday Roundup Revolution. We're going to have so much fun in here because, check out this. Is this possibly true? Has a hacked California crosswalk played fake messages from Musk and Zuckerberg voices? And let me know in the comments and chat which one of those you'd be more likely to obey.
Wait.
It is in fact.
Hi, this is Elon Musk. Welcome to Palo Alto, the home of Tesla engineering. You know, they say money can't buy happiness, and yeah, okay. I guess that's true. God knows I've tried. But it can buy a Cybertruck, and that's pretty sick, right? Right? Fuck, I'm so loud.
It's real.
Hi, this is Mark Zuckerberg, but real ones call me the Zuck. You know, it's normal to feel uncomfortable or even violated as we forcefully insert AI into every facet of your conscious experience. And I just want to assure you, you don't need to worry because there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. Anyway, see ya.
Amazing. I don't know if I'd be more inclined to obey that crosswalk or ignore it altogether. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. We'll be with you wherever you are for about 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. Then we're going to be talking about Maha, health, all sorts of madness. I'm going to be joined by my incredible and beautiful team here. If you ain't got Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium now to get additional access to even more content and an ad-free experience. Tim Dillon thinks that maybe the COVID shots were an error.
Yeah. And then this thing about vaccines, whereas I'm no doctor, I'm not a biologist, and I don't really know how effective these things work. I got the COVID vaccine, and then I got COVID like 4 times. Not an ideal product. You know what I mean? Like in the most generous understanding of it, not an ideal. Like would have loved to get it 2 times after the vaccine, not 4 or whatever it is, 3 or 4. So it's like I feel like a lot of people were just distrustful of that.
Now, my country, the UK, continues to descend into mad disarray. You are no longer allowed to engage in even thoughtful, friendly football chanting. Now, those of you that scrutinise this footage will notice that this guy is shouting, "Come on, England," at a pro-Palestine march. But that pro-Palestine march is taking place in England. I fully agree that you should be able to have a pro-Palestine march. If you're concerned about what's going on in Gaza and the West Bank and the numerous ways that issue could be resolved and the violence and murder and madness to cease, I really support the rights of people in that conflict to have their voices heard and supported. I also think that in England, you should be able to say, "Come on, England."
Come on, England! Come on, England! Your man! England! What's going on? What's going on? Where comes me? Please, no! What did you do? Lock me up for no, man. There's nothing wrong, man. They were saying England. No, they're walking down the street saying England, and they got arrested. No, man. Locked up for no, boys. Slam it. Really slam it. Really slam it. Go on, slam it. Yeah. Oh, that was terrible. That wasn't loud enough. Oh, terrible.
It's a weird time, isn't it, to see them police smiling as they bang that geezer out. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat. There was a time when it was kind of assumed that the police were kind of like racist and were governing or at least enforcing the law in support of kind of nationalism. And there was a famous murder case in our country, Stephen Lawrence, like sort of 30 years ago. It was a terrible, terrible, brutal murder. And many people believed that the relationships between the murderers and the police meant that justice was disrupted of the murder of this young black teenager at a bus stop. And I remember at that time thinking, man, you cannot have corruption within the police force. You've got to have a police force that's fully embedded in the communities. I know so many people that are active members of the police force in the UK and in the United States. And I know that they're beautiful, family-oriented individuals. But of course, it's the head of the serpent that controls the movement of the rest of the body. And the UK has headed in a serpentine direction, man. If you live in a country where you can protest and have free speech, which has obviously got to be the aim and the ideal, you can't persecute and punish the indigenous population for expressing old school patriotism, can you? The kind of patriotism that not so long ago was an absolute necessity if you needed people to die on battlefields across Europe in order to stand up for a thing called a nation. What we are witnessing is the spasming, I reckon, of the end of national identity. Globalism has pushed so hard, broken so many people. We learned that in the pandemic period. And now, as nationalism pushes back, you're seeing that these modes and ideas aren't working anymore. We need radical change. I hope these are conversations we're going to be able to have. Let me know in the comments and chat what you think about it. Thanks very much, Mug Club and Timcast, for the raid. We'll be with you wherever you're watching this, YouTube, X, or whatever, for another 20 minutes as we talk about important issues like, indeed, this one. Like, you know, if you're a parent, you know that your kids are basically addicted to screens. Well, how do you handle that issue? Turn them into little ninjas. Get them tooled right up for the world. Oh, that's what I want to do with my kids. I'm going to train those kids to survive. I'm going to get all Captain Fantastic about it. You've got to raise them like a cell, knowing that they're entering into a holy war. Now, one of the stories that we've got to cover today is the deportation of Armando Abrego. It's an interesting thing when an illegal immigrant is deported. What are our rights of sanctuary? What rights does a government have to control, manage, maneuver, manipulate its population? What does it mean to be a refugee? What does it mean to be a criminal? What does it mean if you have an affinity with, an affiliation with criminal organizations? And what does it mean, given that he's an El Salvadorian, when the president of El Salvador says we're going to keep hold of him? It's an interesting story. It's dividing the world. Billy Baldwin says, where was it proven that Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13? I don't want videos of Trump or members of administration talking about it. I'd like to see receipts, facts, documents, proof. Can anyone provide that? Well, thankfully, Rumble content creator and friend of the show, Viva Frei, has done exactly that, it appears. Court documents, confirmed to appeal, highlighted, included the link. There you go. So that's Viva Frei on the subject. Yet more information in further detail that there does seem to be a connection. Still, though, not enough information for Senator Chris Van Hollen, who is planning to go to El Salvador to retrieve him. Now, just to let you know, look, if you're going to have a country, you've got a country. If you're going to have elections, you're going to have mandates. If you're going to have mandates, you've got to expect people to govern on the basis of that mandate. Me, I'm a person that actually does believe that we're all one human family here together. We oughtn't be divided by the colour of our skin, our religions. Or in fact, we should be looking for affinity wherever possible. New alliances. We're on a precipice of something I think extraordinary. This might be the end of the nation state. Maybe secession is the way forward. Maybe Texas would be better off just being Texas on its own. Maybe the United Kingdom should be divided into the smallest possible unit. Maybe we should try to emulate and mirror our tribal growth for millennia, but without principles, without recourse to some supreme ideal. You're going to watch people maneuvering in disarray across the planet. Certainly that seems to be what we're experiencing right now. Here's Chris Van Hollen. He's heading to El Salvador to bring back Kilmar Armando Abrego. Let me know what you think about that in the comments and chat.
I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice. The Supreme Court has ruled 9-0 that he was illegally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. And this is about due process. This is about rule of law. What bullies do is they begin by picking on the most vulnerable. But if we get rid of the rule of law, due process in the United States, it's a short road from there to tyranny.
It's really interesting to maneuver between platitudinous observations like bullies pick on the most vulnerable into complex legislation around deportation, when in general it seems that the American population elected Donald Trump in part to control borders, and that there was a deep concern that some of the people that were illegally in America might have criminal records. It's extraordinary that this case is being taken up. What I feel sometimes is that if you were to live by the principles you're espousing when taking a position like our man's taken there, which is, I can see the morality and the ethics in that. He's saying that absolutely you have to stick up for people. People deserve sanctuary. People deserve to protect. If that's your position, then why would you not deal with that in the most immediate way possible? America's in, it seems to me, as a foreigner in your land with a green card, that America's in a lot of trouble, that there's a lot of division, that there's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of concern, consternation. And I feel like as a citizen of the world, there are so many crises that are not being addressed. What is it about this particular case and this particular individual that's captured the imagination of the world? You know, like when there's some sort of particular and individual story, whether it's the death of George Floyd or the arrest of Carl Rittenhouse, that sort of captures the public imagination. It's obviously because somehow packed into that issue is a story, a myth, a logos, an image that the nation is wrestling with. What does America want to be? Who is America for? Who has authority now? Is it the 9-0 Supreme Court judges? Or is it the leader of the executive branch and President Donald Trump? Whose authority do you respect? There are some people that want to absolutely delegitimize Donald Trump. The entire campaign period was filled with attempts by the media and indeed the judiciary to delegitimize him. Well, he's won the election anyway. He's governing, and he's governing, generally speaking, in a way that he said he would. I don't know if you would say that's absolutely true when it comes to ending the Ukraine war, actions and ongoing war in the Middle East, whether or not enough's been done at the HHS around stuff like vaccines. I don't know. There are loads and loads and loads of questions. But in a way, for me, all of these symptoms are indicators that there needs to be radical, deep change and an incredibly resourceful, intrepid and deep review of what America means as a nation. And the same is obviously true of my country, the United Kingdom, that appears to be in despondency and despair and falling apart, arresting people for essentially being English on the street. Once being English is a crime, then we're all criminals. Certainly that's one of the markers of authoritarianism, to make vague and opaque the laws around what crimes are and what constitutes criminality, in order that particular individuals and particular cases can be pursued. What we're living in is a crisis of authority. So many people in the UK hate their government, but then look, in America, so many people in the United States hate their current government. I'm talking to the few people watching this now that are not MAGA, Maha supporters. They hate Donald Trump. What are we going to do? We're going to live continually in this tension, ignoring that there might be a way through this that might enhance all of our experience, that might somehow be in alignment with something deeper and more truthful than the mad and giddy fluctuations of a culture that seems to be controlled by forces that, by my reckoning, aren't great. But that's just what I think. Let's see how Trump responded to that before introducing some beautiful individuals working here at Stay Free.
Return the man who your administration says was mistaken.
I went to El Salvador. That dude, Bukele, he made some pretty radical changes. He's introduced cryptocurrencies. He's introduced prisons en masse. He's changed El Salvador from the murder capital of the world to one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere. It's extraordinary how much authoritarianism can achieve, but what mandate is it achieved under? I wonder what the people of El Salvador think. I wonder what you think. I wonder what arguments can be made for the return of your man there if the president of El Salvador, the country that he's from, and Donald Trump, the country that he was illegally in, agree with what the solution is. It's a really interesting moral dilemma.
Was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for it to get it back?
And what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
in our favor.
In our favor, against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
no version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
Well, reality's become a television show. We're all in a virtual reality. We're all picking moral positions based on our previous biases, prejudices, and the coaching of whatever media alliances we've joined, sometimes unconsciously, and however we've been coached to think. That's just what I think, though, or at least is what I think. Let me know what you think. Sorry about the nipple. And before we leave you guys on X, and you don't want to go yet because we're going to review Minecraft and talk about the chicken jockey sensation and that sort of phenomena and the madness of crowds. The madness of crowds. Man, when we get hysteria in us, we can cause all sorts of chaos. It's weird that we do tend to do that in order to celebrate sort of weird sort of memes rather than political ideas, but we'll be doing that in a minute. But first, here's a message, from one of our partners. What is it now? You're a racist? No, it's kimchi. Have some kimchi. Why are you not having kimchi? Why are you waiting for me to tell you to eat some kimchi, you stinking racists? This is going to be a game changer for your health. Kimchi 1. You've probably heard about the power of fermented foods. Well, kimchi is one of the most powerful ones out there, packed with over 900 unique strains of probiotics. That's right, 900 sweet strains, baby. You can get all of them in a convenient capsule. You don't want to be trying to get 900 strains, each from a different teaspoon, egg cup, or, heaven forbid, mouse anus. You want it in a tiny little capsule like that, straight in the mouth. Say goodbye to sucking protein from a mouse. What do you mean you weren't doing that? Yes, you were. Be honest. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. Kimchi 1 supports a healthy gut, helps with digestion, and gives your wretched immune system the boost it so badly needs. I smelt that. Especially these days. In fact, many have found it helpful in dealing with post-vaccination symptoms caused by mRNA exposure. Let's see the data on that, please. Even those who haven't been vaccinated are suffering symptoms due to exposure through shedding and mRNA being injected into our livestock, even USDA-certified organic meats. Protect yourself and do that by strengthening the balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut. There's got to be a balance between good and evil, yeah? like Star Wars. Kimchi One is all natural, non-GMO, gluten-free, dairy-free, and 100% made in the USA, even though it sounds Japanese. Very cruel, people. If you're watching this right now, use the link below and you get 25% off if you use the code BRAND. Or for an even better deal, call 888-404-7719 and get up to 50% off and free shipping. Again, that's 888-404-7719. Their educated staff will make sure that Kimchi One is right for you. Don't wait, your body will thank you in the form of a kimchi-filled fart. Kimchi One from Brightcoil. Get 25% off. Use the code BRAND. Click the link in the description. And if you use the phone number on the screen now, you get 50% off. Okay, wherever you're watching us, YouTube or X will be with you for a couple more minutes. In fact, we're leaving YouTube. And right as we're discussing something that I know you're going to love. Now, that Minecraft movie, I couldn't imagine that it was going to be any good. I just want to say hello to all of the members of our team here in studio with me. Here's Jake. He's running things for us. All right there, Jake.
What's up?
It's good to see you, mate. All right, Isaac. You doing okay over there?
Yeah, all good.
You look hunched. Why are you hunched like that?
Because of this chair.
What's the name of that statue thing that you lot believe in? A golem or something? Is it called that? Like that you put all your sins in. It's made out of clay.
You mean the golem?
That's what I believe in. That's no further questions. Are you all right there, Isaac? And you've been working hard this week. You feeling okay today?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, good. What about you, Matt? Are you okay, man?
Oh, good, mate. Yeah, looking forward to this story on Minecraft.
Well, yeah, I'm interested in it because it's not the sort of thing I'd imagine myself talking about. Luke, how come you've brought this up?
Well, dude, I've seen it everywhere on social media. It's all I've seen. And the news clip that I provided for you to play and we'll watch, people were not only like throwing popcorn and destroying the place, but people are bringing bottles of lotion. I don't know why the hell they're bringing lotion. People are bringing actual chickens. Insanity. It's insane.
Okay, well, before we get into that, let's have a look at the Minecraft trailer.
Don't worry! I'm gonna cushion our fall with this water bucket! Release! In the overworld,
wow,
anything you can dream about, you can create.
So they built all this?
Yeah, most of it.
Hold on.
that thing doesn't understand a word you're saying.
We're talking.
Life here was perfect. Until one day, flint and steel, we came across the Nether. A place with no joy or creativity at all. You! What are you making? Oh! If they get their way, this beautiful world and everything in it will wither and die.
Biocon Dios. It means goodbye, brother.
No, it doesn't.
Don't look at her. It does.
If we want to save this world, creativity is key to survival. Now what? Elytra wingsuits.
Bye-bye. Those things work, right?
Absolutely.
I love Blue House. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
This place makes no sense.
Let's do this.
They want me to fight the chicken?
Chicken jockey.
Oh no, not again. Oh my God, are you all right? Your head is huge.
All right then, Luke, so this is the news footage that you've bought. Lotion? What is this? A Diddy White party? How would I know? I only went to one.
It's the latest rallying cry for millions of moviegoers.
Chicken jockey.
Those two little words sending teenage fans of a Minecraft movie into a frenzy. resulting in screaming, popcorn throwing, and soda flying through the air. In at least one case, the police have gotten involved, escorting some of the offenders out of theaters. So what is a chicken jockey? The official definition? A child zombie who rides a chicken, of course. This morning, that craze around chicken jockeys causing one movie theater in New Jersey to take matters into its own hands, instituting a new policy. Minors will now have to have a parent or responsible adult with them if they want to watch the film. The Township Theater in Bergen County writing in a statement that a group of boys engaged in completely unacceptable behavior, including vandalism. They also received multiple complaints from other moviegoers who were trying to enjoy the film with their families.
It's so mental, isn't it, that we're so on the edge of chaos continually that it just takes, like, chicken jockey, which you explained to me, Luke, it's just like it's a niche thing in Minecraft world that you'd only know about if you really cared about Minecraft, which I don't because of the age I am and everything.
From what I know, yeah.
And so that's what it takes for people to go, like, start releasing chickens in cinemas to go. What does that mean? What are people feeling that is enough to get people? What's being repressed? What are we sitting on, man?
Like when people see the hype of a group of people freaking out for something niche and it gets on video and then they put it on TikTok, then another group wants to do it and then another group wants to do it. I mean, I even remember with, I think it was Despicable Me, some people would show up in theaters to watch it all wearing suits, and then it became this thing where everybody started doing that. And so I think this is just another example of group hype, essentially.
Do you know, like, in our country, Britain, in, like, the 19th century, there was some craze for, like, running into pubs and going, like, putting, like, your thumb your nose at people. And it got so out of hand that people had... So this was, like, in the 19th century. We're going to have to ban people going like that because they can't handle it. There's, like... I think it's, like, all of us who are so restricted and constrained and overwhelmed and sort of, like, pissed off and, like, I don't know how many genders are there again. Should we be in this war? What am I meant to believe in? Everyone just wants to go, chicken jockey! And smash up a movie theatre. Like, we can't take it. There's too much pressure being heaped up on us all the time. What are you saying, Massey?
It's like a mob mentality, basically, isn't it? It just takes one little spark and then everyone goes crazy. So you have, everything from like the George Floyd riots to then Minecraft. It's kind of, it's awesome.
It really undermines the veracity of massive social movements, doesn't it? Because, like, people, like, you think you're getting behind something really important, like, no, hold on a minute, there is too much police brutality, or wait a second, this election was stolen, but people can be hyped up on chicken jockey like that's enough to make people crazy. Man, it made me think we're on the edge of something crazy. I think I bet Minecraft as a movie isn't exploring, like, complex themes and ideas, although I've noticed from Lego Movie onwards, even films that are about even a toy or what I would consider to be a limited narrative opportunities have become brilliant. Have you seen it, Jake? Your kids are into that Minecraft, I think.
I mean, they like to play sports and stuff. I think the kids are they're stuck in school just sitting there learning about stuff that they won't use. It doesn't really matter. Like, my son's 9, and when he gets home from school, he just wants to yell and run around the house. It's like he's a wild man that just needs to release all that energy. And that's what's happening. People are looking for any opportunity just to lose their minds, right?
Yeah, that's what it seems like, that there's something really hedonic being pushed down. They've had to get the police because people are getting overwhelmed in a movie theatre. Like, on one hand, part of me really loves it. I've always loved chaos. Even watching that British guy saying England in that crowd, right? It reminded me of when I used to go to, like, anarchist protests in the UK that were sort of very left-wing, a union one in support of Dockers, various black bloc sort of movements that were like reclaim the streets and very sort of ultra left-wing. I one time at one, when I was working at MTV, ironically, when I was young, still on drugs and stuff, I was about 25, like, I can't remember how old I was, I think I was about that age. Anyway, like, during that, there was like one kid, like, a lot of them were very idealistic, like people wearing black masks and sort of all covered up, like very much the beginnings of like sort of that, what they call it, Antifa type vibes, the beginnings of that before the culture war got as weird as it's gotten now. And I remember seeing, like, one guy who was like a pure football hooligan, like he weren't into it at all, and he was just out to sort of raid shops and stuff like that, but I liked him, and I kind of thought, that's the energy that can sort of change the world. That if the energy that's generated by that Minecraft chicken jockey moment was directed towards, for example, truly new systems of organising community, and I know it's hard because that's not a chaotic idea, it's a pretty boring and bureaucratic one, you could sort of change the world. And it is interesting to sort of note that whether it's something like you said, Massey, that feels like idealistically significant, like racial equality or gender equality or whatever from across the spectrum, pro-life, pro-choice, people can get worked up about like Minecraft, man.
I think young people are meant to rally around each other and get fired up about things. And you talked about this in the show a couple days ago, that we've got a bunch of young men who are sitting around masturbating, getting high, playing PS5 all day instead of like spearfishing. And I think that the reason we've got young people that are getting fired up about Minecraft movie and putting all their energy into something like that is because that is what they do all day. They spend their time in front of a screen, masturbating, playing PS5 all day. And that's just a result of that mentality, I think.
Yeah, that's their mindset and that's their world. That's what they're spending their time staring at and therefore investing in. And when I did do that, and that's what I was doing when I was equivalent ages, jerking off, smoking weed, all that stuff. Games consoles weren't good enough yet to spend your whole life doing it. They've gotten awesome since then. I don't know if I'd have been able to resist it if they was as good as they are now. But when I did something like spearfishing, that I want to be clear, I never even got to the point where I could handle the harpoon. But because I found it too hard to put the mask on. But when I was the bits that I did, I was like, man, if you had competence in something like this, the discipline required to keep the boat in the right order, to get the wetsuit on, to get the stuff on, to get your mask on, then to swim down vertically 50 feet and shoot a fish, you would be living a life that had meaning. I reckon it's nihilistic. That's what we can feel, is that there's nihilism in it because we've lost our connection to meaning. And like Jordan Peterson said, if everything is God, then anything is God. If anything can be exciting, if everything is exciting, then anything, you can find yourself hysterical about a bloody little Frankenstein thing on a chicken just because, as you said, Luke, all their attention is getting put into that. It scares me a little bit because, what we it makes me think here we are, we're trying to talk about political and cultural ideas, and actually people will be just as interested if we played Minecraft or got our bums out. I mean, butts in American. Massey, maybe that's what we should do for the next episode.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I think it's pretty interesting that what else could you get kids to do in a movie theater? Maybe this is some psyop from China or something. If you can get them to go crazy and smash up a movie theater just by showing something on screen, what could they do with TikTok one day? They just do something, a bunch of kids are together and they start actually smashing shit up. Maybe we'll look back at this moment in history. Like how people always say, oh, they'll look back and they'll say World War III was started when they took the Donbass region, or it was on October 7th. Maybe they'll look back at this and they go, oh, the big revolution started during that Minecraft movie thing. That was the first one of those things that happened.
It's an MK Ultra plot to see if you can implant hypnotic signals, at which point everyone rises up. When you read those things where they say all of the illegal immigrants they're all fighting age males. They're all actually members of an army. At some point, there's going to be just some images going to flash up and they're all going to go, right, you're all under arrest. Native populations of Anglophonic countries. All of you, round them up into some sort of convenient Minecraft prison. It's not a bad theory. It's a pretty good one. Wherever you're watching this, we're going to leave YouTube now. We'll just be available on our home Rumble. If you don't have Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium now while you still can, before this chicken jockey revolution takes place and all of us are herded up, rounded up and shot like the dogs we are. Here's a quick message from one of our partners. Free speech is under attack, but Rumble Premium refuses to back down. I won't back down. Like Thomas Petty, he won't back. Actually dead, but we're actually better than Tom Petty. We've always believed in empowering voices, no matter how unpopular. Now we're taking